Hey guys, what's going on? It's me, Paterson, and Happy New Year. 2017 has been a huge year for me, especially on YouTube. We have grown massively. We've doubled we doubled in like 9 months. So I was at 100,000 in February. I doubled from that to 200,000. So I'm hoping that when I reach May time, I would have 250 or 300,000 subscribers here. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel. But as part of my New Year resolutions, which I'll be making a video on in this channel, I am going to be doing more hand lettering videos on this channel. I love hand lettering. If you don't know, I have an Instagram account where I post all my hand lettering stuff on there. Hand lettering is something that I do alongside my logo design work, especially logo type design work. And I wanted to post more about it and to teach you a few things. So today I'm going to be giving you my top tips for lettering within the iPad Pro. This video is brought to you by FreshBooks. Now, when you're first starting to learn lettering, it is important to know how to set up your actual document or to set up your paper. Now, we normally use guides and grid paper, and the iPad Pro, it's no different. You can get an actual grid brush, which is in the actual Procreate app to use. Click on that grid brush and paint your document with that brush, and it will give you a perfect grid layout. The second tip is quick line. I hate using rulers. I don't know about you, but I just don't like them. They annoy me and I have to carry them about with me. But in the iPad Pro, you do not have to. To create a perfectly straight line in Procreate, all you have to do is draw a line and hold it. Do not lift your pen off the paper. This will create a perfectly straight line in whatever direction you want it to be in. But something that a lot of you may not know is that if you put one finger down on the iPad whilst you're holding it, it will actually constrain that line to 95 degrees or to 45 degrees segments, so you can actually have it in a horizontal line or a vertical line, and they're perfectly horizontal and perfectly vertical. This means that it's super easy to set up really straight documents, especially if you want a bunch of lines in there. I use the quick line and the hold to constrain line function all the time in Procreate because it saves me a bunch of times. I don't need to use a ruler. I don't need to do anything like that. I just have to create the line, and that's one thing that I love about the iPad. You just got the iPad and the Apple Pencil and you're good to go. Now we've got through some of the basic tips that you may not know. I'm going to be giving you a few other ones that are a bit more advanced for anyone who's advanced. Now this next tip is for anyone who is doing hand lettering at the minute and wants to know how to sort of balance their compositions out. Well, symmetry has got a lot to do with compositions as well as balance. So having a good balance within your hand lettering means that the overall artwork and composition looks great. On this piece of work, you can see that I have got some leaves either side of my lettering. Now, the way that I did this was that I drew half of the lettering, or half of the leaves, sorry, on one side, and I basically selected those leaves, I copied them and pasted them, then I reflected them so that it looks the other way. I then moved it into place and made changes like that, and it was super easy. It saves you literally 50% of your time when you're doing it. The next tip is to use artistic brushes. Inside Procreate, when you buy it, and it is super cheap if you were to buy it, you get a bunch of these presets or pre-brushes installed. Inside of there, you've got acrylic brushes and loads of textures that you can use. So when you're filling in your lettering, don't think that you just have to use a pencil, but use an acrylic brush or something that has got a bit more texture to texture your work and give it that old vintage feel. Another thing that you can do is actually stipple. Now, stippling is really tedious in actual human form, in analog form. But on the iPad Pro, there is, yes, a brush for stippling. It's in the ink section of the brush set, and when you click it, make sure it's down low and start stippling to your heart's content. I use it as an eraser to erase certain parts of the letter out, as you can see, but it makes it a bunch easier for me to actually create stippling or textured effects. The next tip is 3D lettering. 3D lettering has never been easier when it comes to the iPad Pro. All you need to do is take the lettering that you want to make 3D, duplicate it, and send that layer to the back. Once you've done that, move it to the right, left, down, or up slightly, and connect those two layers together in a separate layer. This will give it a 3D kind of shape or a really interesting vibe to the lettering. It's very old style and retro, and makes it a bunch more fun. Another thing that you could do is to create drop lines. These drop lines are a bit weird because of the angle of where I was drawing them at, but basically I was creating drop lines in the way that you would create the shadows of the lettering. So on the right side of the lettering, I would create these lines that would appear and disappear with one of my brushes. One of the brushes that I sell on my website, you can use that to actually actually delete or erase a part of the shape. So you go down the shape and you basically use it in the center where there's thick lines. Create dots in the middle of them or little patterns, and your lettering looks really good and fun. But the main thing to keep in mind is to keep this all consistent throughout the whole word. And another tip for anyone on here that does not like the vintage feel of the brushes or the art brushes is to use the gel pen to ink. Inside the inking panel on the brush sets, you can actually find the gel pen. Get this streamline all the way up, or as far as you want it to go, then follow that around your work like you would with a micron ink pen. And instead of filling it all in with your pen, grab the color from the color picker at the top and drag it into there, and it will fill in the color completely. I can't tell you how much time I have saved doing this. It has been phenomenal. Another tip is to use your eraser more. Something that I do a lot when it comes to lettering on the iPad is that I'm a bit more free with it. I know I can make loads of mistakes, but then keep the whole lettering looking good because I use the eraser at the end. I choose the same eraser brush as the one that I'm drawing with. So that's normally just a standard pencil brush for the eraser. That keeps the texture looking good, and it doesn't look like you've erased anything out of it. It looks really cool. It also keeps the texture on the outside of your lettering looking really nice. And the last tip that all of you will need to know is how to recolor your artwork. Choose the layer that you want to recolor, select the color in the color picker that you want to change to, go up to the adjustments panel on the top left and go to recolor, then drag that little crosshair to the actual artwork that you want to recolor, and it will recolor your artwork. Guys, I hope you really enjoyed those little tips. I'm going to be making more videos on hand lettering, not just on the iPad Pro, but hand lettering on different things. And I've got a few videos that I want to show you to do hand lettering in the next coming weeks. This video is sponsored by FreshBooks. FreshBooks is an online invoicing website where you can send invoices to your clients and save expenses, and also charge late fees and see whether a client has viewed your invoice all together in one website. I use FreshBooks for my client work. I also use it to send invoices and to gather up all my expenses for the tax year or the end of the tax year. FreshBooks makes it so much easier for me to get paid because I can see whether a client has viewed the invoice and hasn't paid. I can also charge late fees. I can also have automatic reminders set up as well. So you guys, if you want this, then click that link down below in the description to get 30 days of FreshBooks for completely free. Risk-free. Also, if you were interested, I'm doing some logo type workshops, so make sure you check the links down in the description for my USA workshops that are coming up in January. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in the next video. Subscribe and I'll see you soon. Bye.